Welcome to this second session of the 10th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We start with our gratitude towards the Lord, through whose grace everything is possible. We pay our respects and tributes to the Guru Shishya Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved and protected and transferred for generations for us to learn. Pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, through whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. We'll start with our prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Harvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the 10th Adhyaya, as you know, is the Vibhuti Yoga. Ishvara, the Lord Himself, is showing His different Vibhutis. Vibhutis are nothing but His own glory that we can see in the world, His divine manifestations, which are numerous, which are various. But God here shows us some special places where we can see this divine manifestations and we can invoke the Lord through these manifestations of His. We can contemplate, we can think about the Lord. And yoga itself means there are different ways to connect to the divine. Here we are talking about the Bhakti Yoga, the devotion, the Bhakti. And that's why glory and divine manifestations, seeing these divine manifestations in the world is one of the ways to connect with the divine. It is part of the Bhakti Yoga, it is part of the, union with the Lord. When God says, Aham, Aham, everywhere, that I am here in this, I am Aham, I am this. Obviously, we know that the original self, the Tattvic Swarupa of Bhagwan is Sarvavyapak, omnipresent, and His grace is also always there on everyone. And it is His grace that is showing His own vibhutis, His own glories in different ways so that we can understand Him, we can connect with Him. Because to see the Sarvavyapaka or omnipresent Lord is difficult for most of us, and glories is one of the ways we can actually start ourselves seeing the Vyapakta of the Lord, seeing the expanse or the vastitude of the Lord, and gradually we can understand Him in different manifestations. So essentially, we have to see the Lord, we have to think or contemplate on the Lord somewhere to start with, and then gradually we can go to understanding that Bhagwan is Sarvavyapaka, is everywhere, who is omnipresent. So somewhere where we have to start, Bhagwan is showing us those special places where we can see His beatitude, where we can see His splendor, where we can see His glories, and from there on we can start seeing Him everywhere in this universe. It also helps to annihilate our own pride, our own ego, because Lord is not just everywhere, but all the energy, all the forces, all the Shakti, all the Bala, everything Lord says that it is through Him. And when we feel that, I am the doer, I have done this, I have done so much, this pride, this ego is our biggest obstacle on this spiritual journey. And it is quite difficult to, understand how it works and gradually to, annihilate, shithilikaran karna jo uska, our, deflating our ego, which is already inflated. It's a very difficult task. And the best way is, what Lord is doing is not trying to lessen our ego, but He is showing His own greatness everywhere, His own splendor, His own Ishwaratva. He is showing is to make us more humble, to think that we are only instruments in the hands of the Lord. Whatever is already predetermined, and we have to do our best in the places, in the roles that we are playing. And it is very similar to when we stand in front of the ocean and see the vastness of the ocean. We always can invoke the Lord in some way. and we can feel that, in front of these vastness, our own human body is very, very small, very insignificant. So this is the way of thinking, the way of understanding that makes us more humble, that takes away our ego, our pride, and helps us to progress on this path. So Vibhuti Yoga or Ishwaratva, Lord tells us that everywhere all the energy comes from Him. We should not think that this is what I have done or this is my energy, and we have to start somewhere. And the best place is to start is from the name and the form of the Lord. Generally, it's a Saguna Upasana of the Bhakti that we start our devotion with. But this is not the end of the devotion, because this is just the beginning of the devotion. And from Saguna Bhakti, we have to then start seeing Ishvara, or if at least we cannot see it, that bhava, that emotion, that kind of loving devotion should become more and more expansive. It should get more vistara, and this gradually we should be able to see it in different vibhutis of the Lord in this world, and that is where this Vibhuti Yoga can help us. And then finally in the 11th Adhyaya, Lord is showing His Vishwarupa Darshana, and finally from there on we can then gradually go on to see Sarvatra, everywhere, omnipresent Lord everywhere, because Lord cannot be seen, His presence can be felt. This is the vision that we need to develop, how we can see the Ishwaratva in all the names and the forms, because He is hidden behind these names and the forms. He is hidden, and that is how we have to understand, how we can understand the Karya Karana, and from the Karya we can understand the Karana. So this is the Vibhuti Darshana. It's already been done in the 7th and the 9th Adhyaya. In some places, Bhagavan has already shown His Vibhutis in short, but 10th Adhyaya, it is more detailed, more descriptive, but still Bhagavan Himself says that complete description of His Vibhutis is not possible. In the end of this 10th Adhyaya, He will say to Arjuna when he summarizes that it is not possible. Even at the beginning He has said that, when Arjuna says that, please tell me very descriptively, Bhagavan will say that I will tell you only the main manifestations, because it is not possible to describe all the manifestations in its entirety. The 11th Adhyaya will be the more detailed description, but that is more of a practical demonstration of all these Vibhutis, in all the Virat Swarupa of the Lord, the great cosmic form, the Vishwarupa. He will actually is going to show Arjuna what is this form. So that is also very beautiful Adhyaya, the 11th, the next Adhyaya. But here Lord shows us His Vibhutis in different areas. So the 10th Adhyaya, the first 7 shlokas were about the glories, manifestations of the Lord and the benefits of knowing it. And then He talked about, in the first session we saw the Bhakti Yoga, the loving devotion, and what are the benefits for the devotees, what Bhagavan does to him. And now today, in the today's session, Arjuna starts his prayer. He praises the Lord. He shows his understanding of Bhagavan, what he means so far, whatever Updesha Krishna has given to Arjuna, how his understanding has changed from the first Adhyaya. And then he requests the Lord to show him, he wants to see his Vibhutis, he wants to know about his Vibhutis and his Yoga Shakti of the Lord in this universe. And God from the 19th shloka starts describing his Vibhutis and his Yoga Shakti. And finally it carries on till 38th shloka, which we'll be seeing it in the 10.3, the next session. And finally he summarizes in the last 4 shlokas, or the 3 shlokas of these Adhyaya, he summarizes his Vibhuti and his Yoga Shakti. So let us start. The 10th Adhyaya already started in the last session, first shloka, where Lord pledges to tell Arjuna this highest jnana, and he speaks without Arjuna's question, and he says, listen again, Bhuya eva Mahabhav. Oh great warrior, you listen again, because in 7th and 9th Adhyaya the Vibhuti Darshan already has been done. Now again he's going to tell him the Vibhuti Darshana, and he says, listen to my divine words. And it is the grace of the Lord that he tells us again and again, because we mortals are unable to understand this divine manifestation of the Lord in Sankshipta or in short, and that's why he again and again tells us. And when he tells us again and again, he does it more descriptively. That is the grace of the Lord that he's telling us again and again about his, so that we can become better, and he's seeing that Arjuna is becoming happier by knowing this vibhutis of. And he says, Vakshyami hita kamyaya, means he's telling us, or he's telling Arjuna, and through Arjuna he's telling the entire, all the jivas, he's telling about his vibhutis just for the hita of all the jivas. Means hita means kalyana, shreya, upliftment, our eternal benefit. So shreya is one type of hita, prayer is one type of hita, but the prayer keeps us in this world. It is all these benefits of the world. Whereas shreya is the kalyana. Kalyana is the upliftment, it is the transcendence for the jiva, so that they can understand, reach to the divine, and understand and connect with the Lord and become one with the Lord finally. So that is the hita, and this is the kamana of Ishvara. Ishvara's only kamana is the hita of the jivas, and that's why he says, I am Vakshyami, I am going to tell you again and again, and that is his Lord's grace that is telling us again and again. So in the 11th shloka we saw why Bhagavan is so protective about his devotees, why he gives so much to the devotees. He already said he does so much for his devotees, and he said, Tesham eva anukampartham, means for my devotees only because of my sheer compassion, only because I want to make sure that they are uplifted, they come towards me, they attain my own self, Bhagavan says. And he says, Atma Bhavasto, I have dwelt in their own inner self, in their own conscious, from where he has this kind of compassion for us. He shows us the way, the correct way, dwelling in our own hearts. He says, Aham Ajnanajam Tamah Nashayam. That means I destroy the darkness of ignorance, their moha, which arises out of this ajnana. And sitting inside, I show them the right way, destroy this ignorance. And he says, Jnana Deepena Bhasvata, I kindle the lamp of knowledge, the light of knowledge, which removes the darkness of ignorance. Essentially, this path is not of achieving something, because we already are the light of knowledge, but there is a lot of layers around this, through which this lamp of the knowledge is not clearly seen to us. And these layers are the Jnana, the Moha, which deludes us. Our discrimination, our thinking, our viveka is all deluded because of this ajnana, all these layers around us. So these layers have to be removed. So it's a yatra of nivrutti, not actually prapti, because we already are praptasya prapti, or it is an yatra of nivrutti, where we have to remove all these layers, and then the light of knowledge is already there. So Bhagavan says that in sitting inside, I help you, I help the devotees to destroy the darkness of ignorance. So God has a special grace for all his devotees, and that is what he is showing here. So let us start with the 12th shloka. The Arjuna starts his prayer. Arjuna uvacha param brahma param dhama pavitram paramam bhavan Purusham Shashwatam Divyam Adidevamajam Vibhu. So it's a very beautiful prayer. It's in the form of a praise, stuti towards the Lord. He says, Bhavan Param Brahma. You are the limitless Brahma. He is talking to Lord Krishna, who is standing in front of him in his name and the form as the Lord Krishna. But he is telling Krishna that I know now that you are the limitless Brahma, you are Param. Param means which has no limit. Apara is something which has a limit, but Param is limitless. Brahma himself or itself is limitless. It is Sarvavyapaka, all expansive, omnipresent, omniscient, all knower. And he is now understood, Arjuna has understood that Krishna himself is just one form of the limitless Brahma, the Nirguna Brahma. And that is what he says to Krishna, that you are limitless Brahma. Brahma, as we understand, is Chaitanya. It is the consciousness. It is the all-pervading consciousness, eternal consciousness. And it is the Adhisthana. It is the Adhisthana of all that we see. Adhisthana of Ishvara, Adhisthana of the Jiva, Adhisthana of the Jagata, through which everything, pravritta, everything comes into motion, everything works. And is Sarvavyapaka. Satchit Ananda is the Swarupa of this Nirgun Brahma, and it is for the Jiva, it can be experienced directly by Sakshat Aparoksha Anubhava. So this is directly realizable for the Jiva because it is his own Swarupa of the Jiva. Bhavan Parama Dhama. He says you are the only final destination. Dhama, one of the meanings is that it is a abode or a destination. It is the eternal home, the permanent address of the Jiva, because Srushti, Pralaya Kal, everything merges, resolutes or dissolutes into the Lord, into the Brahma. And he the Param light. Another meaning of Dhama is light. And this is, he is a light of knowledge through which everything can be known in this universe. And Bhavan Paramam Pavitram, he says, you are the most pious of all. Swata Shuddha, pure by itself, and Parata Shuddha, whoever comes in contact with the divinity also becomes Shuddha, also becomes pure, also becomes Pavitra. So that is what this Arjuna says to Lord. He says, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. Arjuna has understood the original Nirvikar Swarupa of the Lord, and he says, you are Purusham Shashvatam, you are the eternal Shashvat Purusha. Purusha has two meanings. One is Purusha means the Purnatva, the fullness, the Atma, the Purna Tattva, and Purusha also means the Purna Brahma. So both the meanings are there, and Purusha itself is a Mahavakya because one Purusha means the Atma, which is also Purna, and the another Purusha means the Brahma, which is also Purna. So Divyam is divinity. Divinity actually is something which is not in the mortal world, which is in some other loka or the spiritual, the pure light. Several meanings of divine, divinity. Adi Devam means you are the cause of the origin of all the Devas and all the Maharishis. So everyone arises from the Lord. You are Ajam. He says you are unborn. Though you are standing in front of me as Krishna, I know that there is no birth for you. You are eternal, you are indestructible, and you are changeless. That is Ajam. So that is the Nirvikara or the original Swarupa of the Lord. Arjuna realizes it now that what he is standing in front of him is just one manifestation of the eternal Lord. And he says you are Vibhum. Vibhum means you are vast, omnipresent. Though he is talking to Krishna, who is standing in front of him, he says you are omnipresent, you are everywhere, and you manifest in many, many different forms. So Arjuna understands the true meaning of the Lord. So Gita Ji itself is a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. In the 3rd and the 5th Adhyaya, it starts with Arjuna's question. And there the question was because he there was some dilemma in his mind. Even there was dilemma in the 4th Adhyaya when he says that Mana is very chanchala, how can I steady it? So these were all the dilemmas and the questions of Arjuna. But now it is different. Arjuna started talking now, it's more like a prayer. It is a stuti, it is a praise for the Lord. And this stuti and this prayer comes from the understanding, from the assimilation of the knowledge that Lord has given him. Bhagwan Krishna ne jo updesh diya hai, he started to understand. Those updesh has become atmasada. It has become assimilated with him, and it is now flowing out in the words in the form of a praise for the Lord. And this comes only when there is an acceptance of the divinity, acceptance of the greatness of the divinity, and with this we surrender to the divine, to his wishes. Our wish becomes merged with the wishes of the Lord, and we see his grace all the time, everywhere, every time, every object, everywhere, every situation, and we have a gratitude for the Lord. So this is our expression of that grace that we can understand in him. So only with only a devotee can do this kind of a stuti or a prayer to praise the Lord, and then he will put in a desire for the Lord that he wants to see his vibhutis. Ahustvam rushaya sarve devarshir naradastatha asito devalo vyasaha swayam chaiva pravishime. So here he says, this is how you are described by the rishis. Rushayaha. Rishis are the people who are mantra drashta. They can They have, all these mantras, the Smruti Granthas, all these mantras have been visualized by rishis in their yoga sadhana, in their tapascharya. So they visualize these mantras, then they are great tapasvis. So he says this is probably Bhagavan must have thought, how Arjuna, you know that I am Param Brahma, how do you know that I am Vibhum, I am Sarva Vyapaka, all these words that you are talking. So Arjuna says here, this is how you have been described by the rishis. Even the Devarishi, Naradji, everyone describes you like this. And Asita, Devala, Vyasa Muni, because Arjuna has come in contact with all these munis during his childhood when he was growing up as Pandavas. And he says, I have already heard about Brahma, about the eternal Lord, and this is how you have been described. And not only all these people, but he says, Swayam cha eva bravishi me. You yourself have also spoken the same words and taught me so far. You also said in several, previous adhyayas, Bhagavan himself has said that he is Sarvavyapaka Vibhum. And now Arjuna accepts this Godhood or Ishwaratva with a lot of faith in the Lord. So enlightened people describe God in various forms. And this is what Arjuna is saying. He says, Sarvametad dhrutam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahi te bhagavan vyaktim vidur deva nadanavaha. So he addresses Lord Krishna as Keshava. Keshava has three words, Ka, Isha and Va. And this itself means all the three devas, Brahma, Sha for Shiva, and Va for Vishnu. So this is how he addresses Krishna. He knows now that Bhagavan Krishna is all encompassing all the devas. He says, Sarvam etat yanmam vadasi rutam manye. Whatever you are telling me, Lord Krishna, for yourself, I believe it is the truth. He says, rutam manye. Rutam means satya. So it is a truth, and he shows here that I have a complete faith in you. And Rutam and Satyam are the two words which are used interchangeably in the Shastras to mean the truth. But sometimes Rutam and Satyam are used together in some of the Shanti mantras. Rutam vadishyami, Satyam vadishyami. So when these two are used together, Satyam means the truth, whereas Rutam means something that has been described in the Shastras, in our scriptures. And that is what is called Rutam. So Rutam has two meanings, but here it is meant that it is the truth, whatever is telling me. I understand that this is the reality, this is the truth. Nahite Bhagwan Vyaktim Viduhu Devana Danava means your personalities, your Vyaktitva, your Vyaktim, Bhagavan Vyaktim, your divine personalities, your divine manifestations cannot be known by neither Deva nor Danavaha. Nobody can know them completely because you are the Adi of all these Devas and the Danavas, you are the origin. So only he's trying to tell the Lord that only you can describe yourself completely. All the others cannot describe. They can only describe some of the manifestations, but not completely. And that's why Shraddha, faith, it is so important on this path, because there are many subjects which are described in our Vedas, in our scriptures, which are beyond our normal understanding. And that's why we need to have some faith on our scriptures, our Shastras, initially to begin with. Because the earlier part of the Shastras, the Vedas, describe a lot about what is Dharma, what is Karma, and they are Karma Pradhan, the Karma Kand of the Vedas. And here the description, of course, is related to the Ishwar Tattva. Everything is related to Ishwar Tattva. That God creates the world, and there is a Papa, there is a Punya, there are Yagnas, there are Karmas, there are several rituals, there are lots of subjects like previous birth, the next birth, the different lokas, Swarga Loka and other lokas. The karma, how we do karma, how karma phala is determined by the Lord, how Lord gives, what karmas we do, what karma phalas we achieve. And all these are related to Ishvara. And there are many avatars also have been described. So all these things, we need to have some faith because this is beyond our understanding. And the final part of the Vedas are the description of the Jnana, which is the Jnana Kanda or the Upanishads, where the description, understanding of Brahma, which is Aparoksha. As Atma, we can have Aparoksha or direct realization of the Brahma Tattva as Atma, as a Pratyak Atma. And this is completely contradictory to our own regular understanding of our own self. We believe that I am the doer, I am the karta, but our Upanishads tell us that I am not the karta. All the karma happens in the anatma. I am the akarta as a swarupa. Similarly, we believe that I am the enjoyer. I enjoy all these worldly pleasures, sense pleasures. I am the bhokta. But our Upanishads tell us that I am abhokta by swarupa, and all these bhoga happens in the anatma. We believe that I am limited to this 5 feet 6 inches body, but our Upanishads tell us that I am limitless, I am sarvavyapaka, I am Chaitanya, I am Brahma. We believe that we have a birth, we celebrate our birthdays, we believe that we die, our body dies, but our Shastras tell us that we neither are born, na jayate, na mriyate, va kadachita, and neither there is a birth, neither there is a death. Our Atma is permanent, and this Atma is also connected intricately with Paramatma. It is one and the same. There is no difference between this. So all these understanding, Daikya Jnana, all this understanding is given by our Shastras, and that's why some kind of a Shraddha, faith is important. Because though I may not understand, at least I don't oppose it, and I try my best to understand what is told by Guruji, by our scriptures. But at the same time, Vedanta does not say that you accept everything that is given in the scriptures. Genuine doubts are always accepted, questions are always welcome. But these questions, these doubts must stem from the desire to know the truth. That is the main difference. If you see the Arjuna's question also, where because of his desire to know the truth, the jignasa in the student, the shishya is important. It should not take the form of a duragra or a jid or an obsession to prove our own point of view that we believe is true. Rather, we should all endeavor to look for what is the truth. So that is the main difference, how genuine doubts or questions are welcome in Vedanta. Swayamevatmanatmanam vedha tvam purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. So here Arjuna tells Krishna that you yourself only know yourself completely. Nobody else can know you fully, all your forms, all your manifestations. And that's why he says, Oh Purushottama is the Purna, is the perfect, is the complete, and the Uttama, highest being, Uttama Purusha, the best, highest being, because he is complete in all respects, is Purna. You are Bhuta Bhavana, you are the origin of all the beings, you are the Ishvara, and you are Bhutesha, you are the Lord of all the beings, because you also nurture all the beings, you also are the Ishvara, you are the Antaryami, you are the Prerak, you are the Inspirer, and you are the Karma Phala Data, and that's why you are the Lord of all the beings. Not only that, you are Lord of all the Devas also, Deva Deva, Mahadeva, you are the Lord of all the Devas, and you are Jagatpate, you are the nurturer of the universe also. So this is how Arjuna is praying and praising the Lord. He now understands that Lord himself is the complete origin, he is the Ishvara Swarupa. Vaktum arhasya sheshena divyayatma vibhutayaha yabhir vibhuti bhir lokan imam stvam vyapya tishtasi. So Arjuna, now he says, I want to know all your vibhutis, all your manifestations. He says, you are capable of describing yourself. Vaktum arhasi asya asheshena, completely without any limits. He says, your divine manifestations, your Atma Vibhuti, how you manifest from one to many, by which you are pervaded in this entire world. Imam lokam tvam vyapya sartishtasi, means you are pervaded in this world in completely the entirety, and your divine manifestations can only be described by your own self, he says. Katham vidyamaham yogim stvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. He says, O yogi, who makes impossible possible, a ghatita ghatana ghatita, who can do this, that person is called a yogi, he has divine powers. Aham tvam katham vidyam, how can I know you? He asked Lord Krishna. He says, Sada parichintayan, I want to contemplate on you always. How can I know you? In which places? Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu, in which all objects, forms should I see you, so that I can contemplate on you, I can think about you. And how can I see you, think of you as a manifestation of the God, as Vibhuti? Please tell me, where can I see you? So Arjuna very softly, gently places this request in front of the Lord, that I want to see you, I want to think of you, I want to connect with you, I want to devote to you in different places. Please show me where all can I see you in this world. Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kathaya truptirti shunvato nasti me mrutam. He says, O Janardana, O destroyer of the wicked ones, because Krishna, and all the god avatars are already there, Rakshasas and all the Adharmis, they are the destroyers of these wicked people. And Lord Krishna also samhara his own Yadav Vansha. So he is called Janardana. Vistarena Atmano Vibhutaya Cha Yogim. Tell me in great details all your manifestations and your connections, Atma Vibhuti as well as the Yoga, the connections with them. What are those connections? He wants to know. He says, Bhuya Kathaya, tell me again and again, because they have already been described in the 7th and 9th Adhyaya. Shunato me amrutam trupti hinasti. For after listening to these nectar-like divine forms, I am still not satisfied. And here Arjuna shows his intense desire to know the Lord in his whole various manifestations. He shows his enthusiasm. He says, I am not satisfied. You have already told me, but it was very short. You have to now tell me Vistarena in all great details. I want to hear about all your Atma Vibhutis and the Yoga. He says, I have an intense desire. And Arjuna shows here that he is the ideal student. He ends his prayer and God starts describing his Vibhutis from the next shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Hanta te kathayishyami Divyayatma Vibhutayaha Pradhanyatah Purushreshta Nastyanto Vistarasya me. So Bhagavan starts speaking, he accepts Arjuna's prayer and he starts speaking. Hanta te kathayishyami. Okay, Hanta means okay, he accepts it very gladly. It's a very affirmative way of, the acceptance of the prayer of Arjuna. He says, okay, I shall tell you surely, and that shows his grace towards Arjuna, because he has been a very ideal student right from the 7th shloka of the 2nd Adhyaya, where he accepts the Shishyatva. Shishyastveham shadimam dvam prapannam. He has been a very nice student, and here he has shown intense desire, enthusiasm, and that has been gladly accepted by the Lord. He says, I will show you all my divine self-manifestations. Not all. He says, O Kuru Shrestha, the best of Kurus, because being the best of the Kuru itself is a glory, and God is later going to describe that amongst all the Pandavas, I am the Dhanurdhara Arjuna. So he is trying to tell him that all your glories, don't have a lot of pride for your glories, Arjuna. But I am going to tell you Pradhanyata. I am going to tell you the major, the most major manifestations I am going to share with you. I am going to tell you. He says, Mena asti vistara asya anta. There is no end to my expanse of divine manifestations. Lord Krishna says, though you are asking that I should tell you descriptively vistarena, but I will only tell you pradhanyata, all the main manifestations, because there is no end to my divine manifestation. There is no anta, it is ananta, and that's why Hari is called Ananta, Bhagavana is called Ananta. There is no end to his, his krupa, his par, his grace, his, nobody can go beyond him. Unka par karna namumkin hai, and that's why it's called endless, limitless. And Lord Krishna starts describing his vibhutis. He says, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Stitaha Aham Adishcha Madhyam Cha Bhutanamanta Evacha. So he starts his own vibhuti description. Lord Krishna says, Oh Gudakesha. Gudakesha means that who has conquered his sleep. Gudakesha. And he says, so the person who is very alert, who is very sajag, is very aware. And this itself shows that he is the adhikaritva for understanding these vibhutis of the Lord, because he is eligible, because he is alert, he is, conquered his sleep. And that is the name of Gudakesha. Another meaning of Gudakesha is a curly or a matted or a thick kind of a hair. Guda. Guda means thick and Kesha means hair. So that is how, that is another meaning. He says the first vibhuti that he describes, he says Aham Atma. O Gudakesha, I am your Atma, I am your Atman. And that is how you should see me. You should contemplate me in your own Atman. And this is your own Aham. This is your own self. It is directly realizable, directly available to you for Chintana. Because earlier Arjuna says that I want to do contemplation on you. How can I do that? Show me your vibhutis. And the Prathama, the most main manifestation that Bhagavan shows here is that I am your Atma. So Atma itself is Chaitanya, through which all this becomes life and everything gets its own, spurti, and all the pravrutti, all the anatma gets its pravrutti from this Chaitanya Atma. And this Chaitanya Atma, Bhagavan himself says, the Paramatma says that I am your Atma. So Atma and Paramatma are no different. They are one and the same, and that is the essence of Vedanta. That this is one. Bhagavan himself here says that I am your Atma, Aham Atma Gudakesha. So think about it. If you cannot do this, then I am Sarva Bhuta Shayastita. I am the cause, I am the origin of this world. Think about me wherever you see anything in this world, whenever you think of any karya, whenever you see any manifestation, any karya, then you think about me, you think about the Karana, because I am the Karana, Ishvara says, I am the cause, I am the origin of this world. And this is called Laya Prakriya in Vedanta. Wherever you see any karya, you think about the Lord, you invoke the Lord. So everywhere we try to see the Lord. Sarvatra Ishvara Abheda Bhavna is something that we have to reach. That is the final goal. And he says, Aham Adim Cha Madhyam Cha, I am the origin, the present, and Bhutanam Anta Evacha, and the end of all the beings. So all the beings start from me. I am the nurturer. The presence is also because of me. And finally, I am the home, the Param Dhama. I am the end of all the beings. He says, and this is how you can see me. I am the origin of this world. I am the origin of these all the beings. And that is how we should see the Bhagavan. Adityanamaham Vishnuhu Jyotisham Raviransuman Marichi Marutas Tamasmi Nakshatranamaham Shashi. It says Adityanam Aham Vishnuhu. Out of all the Adityas, there are 12 Adityas, and out of these 12 Adityas, I am Vishnu, he says. So Adityas are the Aditi's sons, and there are 12 sons. Kashyap was a sage, Kashyapa, who had 2 wives, Aditi and Diti. And Aditi's sons were all called Adityas, and Diti's sons were all Daityas or demons. So this is the story of the Purana and the Bhagavata. Jyotishi Sham Ravi Anshuman. He says, amongst all the light, you see me as the sun rays. Ravihi is Surya, and Anshuman are the rays of the sun. So you see me this amongst all the lighted things, amongst all the light, you see me as the light. And Surya or sun is worshipped in our lineage, our parampara, as the Lord. It is also called Surya Narayana, and we worship the Lord. It is said that it is the Lord of the Buddhi, our intellect. It is the light of knowledge. That's how we, even the Gayatri Mantra invokes this Dhyo Yonaha Prachodayat. And sun is also the nurturer of all the beings, because through sun all these, it's only because of the sun the life is possible on earth, because we get all the pushti, all the, even all the aushadis, anna, everything, all the food is produced because of the sun rays. And that's how the life is possible on this planet, because of the sun. And that's why Surya Namaskar is also one of the ways to invoke the divine. And the sun is one of the, it's an important part how we can see the Lord by seeing the sun. Marichihi Marutam Asmi. I am the Marichi in the 49 Maruta Ganas. So there are 49 Maruta Ganas. Maruta Ganas are basically the group of wind gods. Maruta is the wind. And so that's how we can invoke the Lord when we see any wind, any air blowing through us, whether it may be a cold air, a breeze, something, we can think of the Lord. He says, I am Marichi in this Maruta Gana. Nakshatranam Aham Shashi. He says, I am the moon in the 27 planets. There are 27 planets, but though moon is not a planet, but moon is part of every planet. Every planet has a moon, and that's why moon is called the Pradhan of every planet. And moon has many important connotations. It nurtures all the Ushadhis, the medicinal plants, and it gives a lot of Shitalta, soothing effect. And that's why Chandra is considered to be, wherever we can see the moon, we can invoke the Lord. So God has been very kind to us. During the daytime we can see the sun and contemplate on the Lord. At night time we can see the moon and see the Lord. So we can see all these divine manifestations of the Lord by seeing this sun and the moon and all the nakshatras. Vedanam samvedosmi devanam asmi vasavah indriyanam manaschasmi bhutanam asmi chetana. It says amongst the Ved, you see me as Samaveda. Samaveda has mantras which are very musical. They can be sung actually, and that's why God loves music. There are a lot of his divine kirtanas, bhajanas also, and that's why he says, I am Samaveda in all the 4 Vedas. Devanam asmi Vasavaha. Vasavaha is Indra, who is the lord of all the devas. And he says, amongst all the devas, you see me as Indra, who is the king of all the devas. And Indra also wanted to have the self-knowledge, the Atma-jnana, and that's why he went to his Guru Brahaspati to desire for the Atma-jnana. Indriyanam manah asmi. I am mind amongst all the senses, he says. Though mind is not there amongst all the senses, because there are 10 sense organs, 5 Jnanendriya, 5 Karmendriya. These are the 10 sense organs that we all have. Mind is not amongst all these 10 sense organs, but mind is the center of all of them, because the sense organs, what they do, the Jnanendriya, they collect all the information and they come and post it to the mind. So mind actually analyzes and understands all this information, and then based on the intellect, the buddhi, the memory and all this, it gives the command to the karmendriyas, the sense, the action organs, action sense organs, to do the work accordingly. So this is how we work actually in our life. And so mind is the center of all these sense organs, and that's why it's considered, Bhagavan says, Indriya, and amongst all the sense organs, all the 10 Indriyas, you see me as the mind, the mana. Bhutanam asmi chetana, he says, amongst all the beings you see me as chetana. So chetana actually means consciousness, and consciousness is nothing but Atma. But Bhagavan already, to begin with, he says, Aham Atma Gudakesha. So here chetana does not mean Atma, but chetana here means the Buddhi Shakti or the Chetan Shakti or the Buddhi Vritti. So Vritti is something through which we get all the knowledge. All our knowledge of the outside world, even the knowledge of the Atman or the Brahma, is through the Vritti. So Vritti is how we assimilate or understand the knowledge. And this Buddhi Vritti leads to knowledge and understanding. And this, the main understanding that we need to have is this understanding of the Jada and the Chetana. What is Chaitanya? What is the Jada? So all the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, everything is Jada. But only because it comes in contact with the Chetana Tattva, the Atma, the Chaitanya, it gets all the life. And this is how we understand all this understanding has to come through our buddhi. So God is everywhere. It is impossible for us to ignore Lord anywhere, because Bhagavan himself says that as all your mana, all your buddhi, which are most important sadhanas for us, for the seekers, mana and buddhi are the most invaluable, sadhanas to walk on a better path, to walk towards the divinity. And so everywhere Bhagavan says, you see me as your mind, as your intellect, you see me. So it's not possible to ignore Lord anywhere. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vittesho Yaksha Rakshasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meru Shikharinamaham. So he says, amongst all the Rudras, there are 11 Rudras, you see me as Shankara, he says. So Shankara, essentially Rudra means to make one cry, and that is essentially, as we understand, when we are in pain we cry. That's why we feel that Rudras make us in pain or give pain, but it's not like that. Bhagavan never gives pain or miseries to any of the jivas. Bhagavan always wants kalyana of all the jivas, and that's why they do whatever they do is for our own benefit. And that's why Shankara is also called Sham Karoti, it is Shankara. Sham means Kalyana, because Bhagavan only wants our Kalyana. So he is the destroyer only for us, our own benefit. Though we don't realize, we don't understand this, but it is for our own benefit that it destroys all our, Agnan, Andhakar, Ahankara, all these can only be destroyed by the Lord. And finally, even the Srushti Pralaya is done for the benefit of all the jivas. So this is something that we don't understand, and that is how we have to understand. Bhagavan himself has said previously that he is in the form of Vishnu amongst all Adityas. Now he is saying, I am in the form of all Rudras, I am Shankara. So we must see that all these gods are manifestations of the divine supreme Lord, the Brahma. Vittesho yaksha rakshasam. That means I am Kubera, Vittesha. Vittesha means Vitta is wealth. And I am the king of all the wealth, the god of the wealth. And god of the wealth is Kubera. Kubera is also one of the Yaksha. And Yakshas are basically, they distribute wealth properly, and Rakshas are the protectors of the wealth. And all the wealth belongs to the Lord. The manifestation of the Lord in the form of the wealth is Lakshmiji, Shri or Lakshmiji. But here he is talking, he says Vittesha. Vittesha is the Lord or the god of the wealth, and that is Kubera. So whenever we have any wealth, any possessions, anything that we earn, we should try to see this as the Lord, his own divine vibhutis, his own manifestations. That is what Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself tells us. Vasu Nam Pavakaschasmi. So I am the fire in the 8 Vasus. He says fire, basically Pavaka, Pavana Karnari, it is purifier, it prepares the food, it gives the light, and it also, the Jatharagni inside, it also, it says that it digests the food because of the heat that we have inside. And so the fire has several utilities in our life. Shikharinam Aham Meru. He says I am Meru in all the mountains. Meru is not there currently, recently, but it has been described vividly in our scriptures. So in all the mountains he says I am Meru Parvata. Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam viddhi partha bruhaspatim senani namaham skandaha sarasamasmi sagaraha. He says Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam viddhi partha bruhaspatim. I am the main Bruhaspati amongst all the dynasty teachers, the Kul Gurus. Purodhasam. Purodhasam, Puro means previously, and Dasam or Purohita. Purohita means they tell us about our own hita or kalyana which can come in the future. So these are the people who do the rituals, and Purohita, they tell us about our future. But here Lord tells us about the Guru, the Kula Guru, and this is the Bruhaspati. Bruhaspati was the Kul Guru of all the Devas. So he is, I am the main Bruhaspati, Lord Krishna says, amongst all the Kula Gurus. Senaninam Aham Skanda. He says, I am Kartikeya, among all the commanders. Kartikeya, also called Subramanya or Shanmuga, was a commander of all the Devas. And that's why Lord Krishna says here, I am Kartikeya in all the commanders. And Sarasam Asmi Sagaraha, in all the large water, natural body reservoirs of water, I am the ocean, he says. And in the next shloka, he is going to say, in all the flowing rivers or the flowing water, I am Ganges. But here he says, amongst all the large reservoirs, steady water and natural reservoirs, I am the ocean, where is the largest water reservoir. And this vastness reminds us, invokes us of the Lord. We can see the divine manifestation of the Lord when we see the ocean. Maharshinam Bruguraham Giramasyekam Aksharam Yagnanam Japa Yagnosmi Stavaranam Himalayah. He says, I am Bhrigu Rishi in all the Maharshis. And Bhrigu was the son of Brahmaji, and he was famous because he tested all the 3 Devas, Vishnu, Shiva and Brahmaji, and he went and actually kicked each of them and saw how they responded. And Bhagavan Vishnu, when he kicked Bhagavan Vishnuji, he was sitting with Lakshmiji on the Sheshnaga, and he suddenly stood up, and Vishnuji said that, oh Bhrigu, I hope your feet is not hurt. My Vakshasthala, my chest is very strong, nothing will happen. And that is how Vishnuji reacted. And Bhrigu Charana Chinna are still there on the Vishnu's Vakshasthala, on his chest. So that is how the story of the Purana goes. And Bhagavan says, I am the Bhrigu Rishi. He is a very famous Rishi amongst all the great Rishis. Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam. I am Om in all the spoken words. Eka Akshara is Om, which is the Ekakshari Naam of Bhagavan or Paramatma. And he says Om is the word which denotes God in all the forms, because Om is made up of three matras. A, U, Ma. These are the three matras. A, U and M. So these are the three matras of Om, which denotes, for the individual Jiva, it denotes the three avasthas. A denotes the Jagrat avastha, U the Swapna avastha, and Ma the Sushupti avastha. On a Vyashti level, on a universal level, these three denotes the Stula Sharir, the Sukshma Sharir, and the Karan Sharir also. And the way it is spoken, A is spoken with the mouth open, wide open. U is spoken with the mouth partly closed with a rounded shape, and Ma is spoken with a pursed lips, with the lips closed. So these three matras, all the words, all the syllables in the alphabet can actually be spoken from, will emanate from this, and that's why it's considered to be the entire alphabet. It's considered to be the entire, the language. And the third part is the amatra. The pause after the three matras is the Nirguna Nirakar Swarupa of the Brahma. And that is how Om denotes not just the Saguna, all the three Saguna Bhagavan, but even the Nirguna Bhagavan. It denotes directly the Lord. So we can connect through Om, we can connect directly to the Divine. It's a good way to connect to the Divine. In all our free time, we can chant Om and connect to the Divine. Bhagavan says, Yagnanam Japa Yagnasmi. I am the Japa Yagna, chanting in all the Yagnas. So Yagnas, as you know, are rituals. But Japa, Bhagavan says, is also a type of Yagna, and I am a Japa Yagna. Japa is continuous chanting of the name of the Lord. And it's a very, very important part of sadhana, especially today in the Kali Yuga. It is said that Japa can not only lead to our sadhana, but it can also lead to the Siddhi itself is so important. Because in all other yagnas or rituals, you need a lot of other ingredients of the yagna. But in japa, you don't need anything. It is completely swadhina. It is independent. It can be done at any time, anyone, any person. And japa, however, needs only some kind of shuddhi of the hands, the mind and the words. But otherwise, it can be done for anyone. And that's why how it is a very, very important part of the devotion to the Lord, japa. As one of the described as one of the yagna by the Lord. Stavaranam Himalaya. Bhagavan says that I am Himalaya in all the innumerable mountains, because Himalaya is considered to be the king of all the mountains. Next slok. Ashwatha sarva vrukshanam devarshinam charvanaradaha gandharvanam chidraratha siddhanam kapilo munihi. So here Lord Krishna says, Ashwatha Sarva Vrukshanam. I am the people tree, or the fig tree among all the trees. The fig tree is also considered to be the Sansar Vruksha, or the cosmic tree, and it is considered to be very auspicious. There are many, pujas, and for some people, in the Vedas it is described that somebody wants to have a baby. If they are not having a baby, then they can worship the people tree or along with it the neem tree, because that's considered to be together. But these are all the things that are described in the scriptures. But people tree is considered to be very auspicious. Devarshinam cha Naradaha. I am Narada in all the Devarshis. Narada is present in almost all the 18 Puranas, because he is considered to be very gnani, he is knowledgeable, he has all the vidyas, all the different vidyas. He says he is very egoless. Even after knowing everything, he is very humble, very down to earth. He will go help people, whoever are in distress, he will be reaching there. And constantly he does chanting of the name of the Lord, Narayan, Narayan. That is what Narada always goes on saying, and that's why he is considered to be an ideal devotee. And Bhagavan says, I am Narada in all the Devarishis. Gandharvanam Chitraratha. Amongst all the Gandharvas. Gandharvas are basically a group of devas who are musicians and artists. And Chitraratha was, he was also a great artist, and he was a great devotee of the Lord also. Siddhanam Kapilo Muni. I am Kapila Muni in the realized souls, in all the Siddha Purusha, in all the realized enlightened Purusha, I am Kapila Muni. So Kapila, there are two Kapilas. One was the Kapila Avtara of Bhagavana, which is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, where he gave sermons or Updesha to his mother Devhuti. Whereas here, what Bhagavan is telling is the Kapila Muni is the Sankhya philosophy. The originator of the Sankhya philosophy was also Kapila Muni. So here, the meaning of Kapila Muni is that out of all the realized souls, I am Kapila of the Sankhya philosophy. Uchchai Shravasam Vashwanam Viddhi Mam Amrutodbhavam Airavatam Gajendranam Naranam Cha Naradipam. It says Uchchai Shravasa Ashwanam. Amongst all the horses, I am Uchchai Shravasa. Uchchai Shravasa was the horse of Indra, which surfaced from the ocean during the Samudra Manthana, where the nectar was also produced. It's Amrutam Udbhavam. So it remembers the Amruta Manthana, Samudra Manthana, which is mentioned in the Puranas and the Bhagavatam. And it says, I am the Uchcha Shravasa. And also it says, Airavatam Gajendranam. Amongst all the elephants, I am Airavata. Airavata was a white elephant which was also produced during the Samudra Manthana. So both Uchcha Shravasa and Airavata were produced in the Samudra Manthana. As the Lord says, among all the horses and the elephants, see me as this. Naranam the Naradipam. In humans, see me as the king, because king also has some special powers, he has some special privileges, and that's why Lord says that he is amongst all the humans, see me as the king. So essentially what Lord is trying to tell us is that we should see him everywhere. But if we can't see him everywhere, at least we should start seeing him in such selected special places. At least start seeing him in the king. Then we can start seeing him in all the different humans. Similarly, at least start seeing him in Airavata and Uchchai Shravasa. Then we can start seeing him in all the elephants, all the animals, all the animal kingdom. And that's how Lord is showing us his vibhutis. With this, we come to the end of this session. There are still many vibhutis that Lord is going to describe, which we will see in the third and the final session of the 10th Adhyaya. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.